this also makes them more attractive to the main proprietors of new technology, the big pharma, the big pharmaceutical companies. So they are probably a useful link between, say, civil society, governments, and the business sector. Trusted somehow, I think they have legitimacy in all quarters in a way. So important actors. Now, there are a number of questions, and of course that's what we do as political scientists. We look at these governance structures and we say, okay, are there some problems here? There are a number of legitimacy questions involved, and I'll just say a few words about that in conclusion. I mean, usually when we justify the creation of public-private partnerships in one of two ways. Either we say it's because of their effectiveness. They're more effective than the normal international organizations. Or you justify them in terms of stakeholder democracy and stakeholder participation. And let's just take a look at some of the problematic aspects. I mean, effectiveness, the effectiveness is their ability to coordinate, of course, to coordinate, create coordinated action among different types of actors in this field. And the fight against AIDS requires coordination both horizontally between different actors at the global level and vertically between actors at the global and the national or local level. And both have proven to be somewhat problematic. I mean, on the positive side, I think, again, the process leading to the UN General Assembly special session, UNGAS, is an example of successful horizontal coordination. On the other hand, I mean, UNAIDS was designed to coordinate UN agencies, yet its co-sponsors have continued to conduct their own policies, their own programs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I can see that they have surrendered much of their autonomy, and duplication and rivalry do persist. And the existing fragmentation also opens up for forum shopping rather than coordination. If you're satisfied with one international organization or partnership, there are always someone else to turn to. As for vertical coordination, several observers have pointed to the lack of congruence between global programs and local implementation. As NGOs play a prominent role both in the formulation of programs and in particular in their implementation, this reflects to a large degree differences between global NGOs and local NGOs. As someone has put it, the response to the pandemic is broadly planned at the international level, while implementation relies on a set of fragmented organizations at the local level. These public-private partnerships also raise some questions of representation. Who are included and who are excluded? How representative are the actors that have a seat on these different partnerships? And there is no real good answer to that question, because many of these civil society actors, for instance, say that we cannot represent civil society as a whole, we can represent our own organization, that's it. And there seems to be no realistic alternative to some kind of co-optation process where you usually, I have made some interviews in Geneva, and usually it's the present board sort of co-opts new actors when they renew the board, and it's a matter of who knows whom and so forth to a large extent. It also raises questions of accountability. to whom are public-private partnerships accountable? Are they accountable to those who are affected by their actions, as many civil society actors argue, or to those entrusting them with power, as donor governments and other partners tend to argue? Skeptics also point to, I mean, if you look at the first claim of civil society actors, that we speak on behalf of those hard-to-reach populations, those who don't have any voice, the affected people. Well, the skeptics point to the weak links between global NGOs represented in these, on the boards of these public-private partnerships, and community-based NGOs. The latter have been more or less crowded out by a growing number of operational NGOs with few links with the communities they serve. And NGOs, as they are then very active in the implementation of handing out funds and so forth, they become more accountable to donors than to the affected communities in certain ways. And who has delegated authority? If you take the delegation, I mean, those who delegate authority, they are the ones to hold them accountable. Who delegated authority to the Global Fund and other private partnerships? And who should then hold them accountable? All the different partners? And how can that be done? And so forth. So there are a number of problems involved when you look at the legitimacy of these organizations. Another, and then I'll stop. I've gone over my time, but the one impression when you look out at the field today is that there are a growing number of public-private partnerships, and there is a danger of fragmentation and duplication in the area, and you addressed that. You said that at the local level you try to find to cooperate rather than have separate programs and so forth. But there is this danger, definitely. Thank you.